We work the problems one by one. We do what's in front of us, then we do the next thing. Except for that. That's not good. Hello everyone, the December Review here, back again with a movie review. I'm deep within the ocean floor to discuss the second chapter in the Meg series, Meg 2: The Trench. Spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check out the film, streaming everywhere, and also available to watch right now on the Max app. 2018 brought us the first Meg movie starring Jason Statham as our hero, looking to take out the prehistoric mega sharks. The film was a success, grossing just under $550 million in global box office receipts, allowing for the sequel to swim its way up to audiences. The films are based off the book series by Steve Alton, which debuted in 1997, and has seen various starts and stops in trying to kickstart a cinematic adaptation. There are currently 7 books out so far, with an 8th scheduled for release in 2024. I found the first Meg film to be a fun and campy take on the source material. Shark films have always been a tricky thing to pull off since Jaws was released. The gold standard in underwater tension, Jaws not only was a masterclass in filmmaking, but is also responsible for kickstarting what has become the summer movie season. Prior to Jaws, the warmer months were actually a slow time for movie theaters. It's hard to believe now, but for much of the early 20th century, the idea of going to the movies in the summer was looked down on. Then Jaws swam into the movieplexes, creating a double cultural phenomenon. The idea that the summer could be where millions of dollars would be found in cinema and scaring audiences out of their seats with the giant shark. Jaws went on to have 3 sequels and spawned countless other shark films franchises, like Deep Blue Sea, Sharknado, 47 Meters Down, Open Water, and of course, The Meg. So, we are 5 years removed from the end of the first movie, and Jason Statham is back as Jonas Taylor. He, along with the survivors of the film, continue their work in Man of One, while Jonas also finds time to stop any evil deep-sea environmental situations that come his way. The team happen to have a Meg shark in study that they have essentially raised over the years. It's the kind of Meg shark that forms a bond in response to sound commands. What could possibly go wrong? While out on an exploration of the trench, Jonas and crew come across a mining expedition by a group of mercenaries looking to farm rare minerals for billions of dollars. This team, led by Evil Montez, one who has a history with Jonas, sets off an explosion to escape, which in turn kicks off the movie's plot, as the good guys, now stranded deep within the trench, must somehow stop the antagonists and find their way back to the station. Things aren't helped by the fact that someone on their team has turned to the dark side and is actually the ringleader in this mining expedition. Oh, and there's some giant sharks that swim around from time to time. I'm not exactly sure what I expected when I sat down and watched Meg 2. I assumed the usual shenanigans of scary sharks, impossible situations, jump scares, and CGI madness, well, all of which is present and accounted for. But I didn't expect would be a swerve of sorts, as essentially this isn't just a mega shark film. For most of its runtime, it plays out more like a die-hard feature underwater than anything else before it, and culminates in a shark bonanza for its final act. And through the absurdity of it all, well, I quite enjoyed it. There are essentially 2 different films happening here at the same time. In some ways, it makes sense to pull the focus off the sharks, since there's only so much you can do these days that haven't already been done before. And that's not to say that the filmmakers don't try, because things get shark crazy. But for the bulk of the movie, we are trapped in the ocean floor with our team trying to get back to the station. We are talking epic levels of hoops to jump through. Literally every few minutes a new roadblock presents itself, one of which is having our team need to walk through the trench after their subs have been compromised. These extended scenes manage to create some genuine tension, as it's a time race between having enough oxygen to survive and not being eaten by a wide range of trench creatures. What results is probably the film's most impactful moments, as some of the crew don't make it. Yes, logic can be mostly thrown out the window, but I found these moments to be compelling overall. But it does get a bit redundant as obstacle after obstacle presents itself. The film never really lets up once the action kicks in, and there are only so many times that someone can be trapped inside an inescapable room, filling up with water before it gets too predictable for its own good. The film goes all in with its family dynamic between Jonas, Mei Yang, and her uncle, as it tries to create tension. Its positive family message is sincere, but the stakes aren't as high as what the filmmakers probably expected, which levels it off to feel a bit hokey instead of emotional at times. And let's face it, most of the problems here were created by the uncle, so if he does get eaten by a giant prehistoric mega shark, then some of the issues would have been solved a lot quicker. With the scope of the movie switching from just the sharks to the mercenaries, the film loses a bit of its luster if you're just looking for giant sharks all-out attack. And when the sharks do show up, their size, which was a big strength in the first movie, feels underutilized here. I actually skipped seeing this in the theaters because I was afraid I'd get a bit too panicked watching this on the big screen, since giant sharks the size of Mothra, well, throw me for a loop. But looking back, I don't think it would have been too much of an issue now. There's also some other creatures lurking below this time. It's not just the Megs that we have to look out for, but also a giant octopus, which may be the film's ultimate achievement when it squares off with a Meg. Plus, there's some Jurassic Park sea and land mini dinos who take over in the film's final act. They are interesting enough at first, but overstay their welcome for me. Behind the lens, director Ben Wheatley gives a steady balance to the film. There's a handful of standout underwater moments that fill the screen, and the jump scare moments are spaced out enough and framed very well. The movie looks vibrant overall, but does get a bit lost at times in the more murky moments. Statham gets to go all out doing his Statham action scenes and has enough one-liners to fill the action film quota for a while. His presence in this series is a big plus, which helps elevate the story through all of the craziness. Overall, Meg 2: The Trench is a fun action shark film that goes in a bit of a new direction, creating some genuine tension but mostly sticking to the tried and true formula of summer blockbuster fare. I was sort of reminded a bit of Halloween Ends here, in the sense that what you expect the film to be turns out to be something completely different, even when the trailers said otherwise. While The Trench didn't completely disregard its sharks, it does sidestep them for a big portion of the movie, but unlike Halloween Ends, what's in its place manages to stay true to the series instead of changing things completely. While I enjoyed the first Meg film a bit more than this one, The Trench is still worth checking out, especially in 4K. It's got Statham, it's got action, and it's got mega giant sharks. It just loses a bit of its steam as the focus really isn't the Megs in this Meg movie. I give the film 3 out of 5 on the Quentin Hooper scale, and I wouldn't be surprised if Meg 3: Primal Waters is up soon enough.